Hey, how's it going? So this week I want to talk about beauty photography, and I'm going to show you guys how I create beauty portraits and how that may be easier than what you think. Let's just jump right into it. So let's start off with some basics, right? So first off, what is beauty photography, right? So I guess in a nutshell, beauty photography is portraiture that is focused on the beauty of your subject, right? So there aren't usually like a lot of props that could distract you from the subject. You're not really focusing on like a location or anything like that. It's really just about the beauty of the subject. Most of the time, beauty photos are usually just like up close portraits. Sometimes they're just like half of a face, or they could just be like an eye with a cheek or something like that, or it's a full portrait with a head and shoulder. Usually a full body shot isn't considered a beauty photo, but it probably could fall into that category, I guess, depending on who you ask. But so I guess that kind of leads me to like my next topic, which is the 3 things that are necessary for a up close, I guess, traditional beauty photo to be successful. Number 1 thing is good skin texture, right? So that kind of comes into your editing. How are you editing the skin? Because you have to remember, when you're photographing beauty shots, you're photographing skin. It's different than like than photographing landscape or macro or something like that. It just requires different editing. Number 2 also has to do with the skin, and that is color consistency, right? So the whole thing that makes this work is consistency and the fact that there's nothing distracting you, right? So there's no blotchiness or anything like that that could possibly have the viewer focusing on. And the 3rd thing, which depending on who you ask could be the most important thing, and that is high quality, right? So the photo needs to be good quality, right? So no softness. It needs to be sharp and crisp, and that is what's really going to draw your viewer in. So now that we've talked about what makes a beauty portrait successful, now let's actually jump into how to actually shoot one in the studio. So during this shoot here, guys, I was shooting with my friend Anaya. Here's her IG. Definitely go give her a follow. So as you guys can see here, I'm only using one light, and I'm using a bigger size Octa and a reflector underneath it. This is known as a clamshell lighting setup, and it's called that because it's like a clam opening up. So, and this is a really consistent and easy lighting setup to pull off, mainly because you only need one light and a reflector. You can't do it with 2 lights. So you can have 2 lights, you know, like the same way where the reflector would be. Could do that. You don't have to do that. It's kind of overkill. It really depends on what you're doing. You know, if you need something like really glammy or something like that, it might be more your route. But if you just want something simple, you can do it. So basically what this does is that over our main light, right, we're gonna get all of our detail on the front, like on the top side of the portrait. But if you don't have anything lighting the bottom side, you're gonna get a lot of darkness down here. Right now, this is my finished photo, but so on this photo, you can see that I used the clamshell setup, because if you check the catch lights, you can see there's a catch light on the top, there's a catch light on the bottom, and that catch light on the bottom is just the reflector. So that's another plus side that you're gonna get from this setup, right? So you're gonna get all the beautiful light from your main light, and you're gonna get the fill from the bottom. And what this does is that this gives us a fully exposed, good quality portrait, right? And that's what we talked about earlier. So any professional photographer will tell you that the key to high quality pictures is good lighting, right? So, and that's why beauty photography is all about quality, and you know what I mean, because you can get really good light, and so long as you have that really good light all over your portrait in this way. I mean, if you want to get more creative later down the road, and if you want to do more Rembrandt stuff, that's still considered beauty, right? Especially if it's like an up close one. This is just a really consistent method that I figured I'd share with you guys, because I use it pretty often myself. Like I said, because you don't need $1 million worth of equipment. You can just do it with one light and a reflector. It's pretty nice. So for this actual shoot, I did that, and then afterwards I went in, I did a blemish removal, a dodge and burn, a really subtle frequency separation layer, and I added a little bit of depth and contrast on the photo at the end. so that way she kind of like pops out a little bit more in the frame. And that was like really it. So my friend Anaya, she actually has really dark eyes, so I didn't really go in and try to bring out any color in the eyes. I always have a hard time with brown eyes. If it's like green eyes or blue eyes, you kind of have like that bright color, so it kind of gives you more leeway on what you can bring out. But for this, I kind of just left them how they are. And that's really it, guys. Beauty photography is actually simple if you keep it simple. You know what I mean? Like, it can be more complicated down the road, but if you're looking for something that's just really easy and consistent, just try that easy clamshell. Put that one light, put the reflector underneath, and you can do it. Sometimes I might take another reflector and put it on the other side to give out like a little bit of fill on the back of the head. I did that during this shoot, I think, for a couple shots, and you're almost guaranteed to have a good shot. So I would also say during this situation, you know, like, use what you have. But for this shoot, I used an 85mm lens, and I think I was shooting somewhere between f4 or f5 just to get the detail, right? You don't really want to shoot at wide open for beauty, right? Like, you're not going to shoot like 1.8 because, like we said earlier, it's all about the detail and it's all about the skin texture. And you're not really going to get a lot of skin texture if you're shooting at 1.8, right? So if you're shooting at 1.8, it might be easier editing later down the road. But if you want that nice texture on the skin, you know, it's okay to bump up your aperture a little bit. If you're on location, you have to strike that balance between how much of the background do you want in focus and how much skin texture do you want, right? But in studio, there is no background really for you to worry about being in and out of focus because it's usually just a plain color background. And with all that said and done, guys, that is my really quick video for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and definitely leave a comment down below if you guys want me to go more into a beauty editing video and talk about how I edited these. I talked about it really quick during this video, but I can do an in-depth one if you want. Just leave it down in the comments and I will make one. And with all that said and done, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one.